For me giving you shit?
Loser!
Oh my God, you blew out everybody's eardrums. Not just mine. Howdy, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Dead Robot Society. I am Paul E. Cooley, and joining me is... That's the wrong way, goddammit. Terry Mixon over there. Now I look like I'm trying to do, whatever that dance move is. Those idiots were doing it at SNL back in the 90s. I don't know what the hell that was.
I just want to see you start flossing. That's what I want to see.
My co-hosts, the other half of the Dead Robot Society Brain Dead Trust, Mr. Terry Mixon.
Heidi ho, neighbors.
Really? Are you going to Ned Flanders us to death in this episode? Is that how it's going to work?
Maybe so.
I don't know about this, folks. Terry, what the hell have you been up to? What the hell have you been up to?
I'm still editing. I'll finish tomorrow.
A likely story. That's what you said last week. Actually,
I'm down to 8 chapters left to go. So that's one day's worth of work for me. I'm about to wrap this up and toss it over the fence so I can start on the next book.
Ooh, creativity in the near future is what you're telling me. Creation.
I need to go ahead and, outline this one a little bit before I start the next one, because there's a lot of things going on at the end of this book. I need to make sure that I've got an idea of where I really want this story to go so I don't drop something.
Is it really getting to the point where you have so many details that you have to do that? You're going to have to start spending more time planning out scenes?
It's only a couple paragraphs. I'm talking about just jotting down my thoughts to make sure that I understand the major themes that I still have to carry over, and that I'm headed towards a point where they all kind of meet up and I get a good conclusion to the next novel. Sometimes when you're pantsing it, you can find yourself going, where is the end? How do I wrap this thing up? And I'd rather not do that. I'd rather at least have an idea, even if it changes.
Oh, is there more to that thought?
I'm trying to remember. I read an article the other day that talked about pantsing and plotting. And then the guy came up with an idea and he said, there's a thing in the middle called roadstering. It's where you put the signposts up and you're just basically driving by them. That's
what I do.
And I'm kind of wondering if I'm moving into that sort of thing.
I think once you have enough constraints placed on you, you kind of have to. Sometimes I need the roadstering just to get going, just to get the flow of the scenes going. That's just why I put down chapters with just a name. That's it. No description other than just a name of what that chapter is called, because that's the name that the image in my mind conjured when I put it there. And it's just a little memento that works for me for some reason. But I will put those down. They're not sacrosanct. They're not in concrete. They are going to move. They're going to change. They're going to go all over hell and gone where they need to go, for the story and everything else. But it's enough to kick my brain out of neutral. And it also, that's where I can place some of those constraints. Is I can say, oh, yeah, I have to take care of this. We need this one scene to do that. Okay, how the hell do I get there? Well, let's not talk about that right now. That's not important. What is another scene that I absolutely positively have to have? Or another complication I have to solve in this book or address?
The thing that is important for me this next time around is that I'm imposing a number of constraints on the characters at the end of the book that I just wrote.
Right. Okay, yeah.
Not just one constraint, a couple of serious constraints. And the plot of actually dealing with those is not going to be something that runs really concurrently. They're going to have people working on each issue. So it's going to be a little bit of juggling to make sure that resolution comes along at roughly the right time.
Okay. Well, see, another reason to roadster. Another reason to roadster. Again, here's all the things I have to accomplish in this book. I think that if you're writing a series, that is the most important thing to know about the next book. Is if there's Any unfinished business we have to take care of right now, or we have to take care of in this book because it cannot fester that long.
A, I broke something really bad on this ship. I need to get that fixed, but it's not going to be easy. B, we've got this issue we're working with people that we need to solve that they're not going to be exactly cooperative about. So that's going to have to go on as well. And of course, C, the aliens will soon arrive. The alien machines will soon arrive to try to kill you again.
Yeah, so we have to have that. We have to have that battle. We know we got this, and we know we're going to have this battle, whatever this battle turns out to be. Yeah, exactly. That's basic roadstering. I mean, that's the, you break down the story. Jack and Jill went up the hill. You basically you've got the intro to the story, you've got the climax of the story, and then you've got the denouement. That's how that story works, and it's the most simple explanation of 3-act there is, in my mind, anyway. But each of those little things that you just talked about, each of those has got a beginning, middle, and end to them. No matter how the plot thread turns out, they're each a story unto themselves, right? Made up of a number of scenes that they're kind of put together. If they don't stand on their own, take 20 scenes to get through that, handle a single plot complication like that. I can see right up your bloody nose.
I had to make a note to myself because it occurred to me that I need to make a minor change before I send it over.
Yeah, see?
I had mentioned a time frame that they would have clear before the alien machines came again. And I said, maybe that's a little long. I think I need to cut it in half. I needed to be a little bit more pressure.
Oh, pressure and deadlines. It's a wonderful thing. I like it. It's a wonderful that. I wonder. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And in my personal life, this is also very exciting.
Oh God.
We had our AC inspected this week, and they said it's time.
How many ACs have you gone through?
Just the one that we've replaced ourselves. Well, we paid to have replaced. So this unit is somewhere between 16 and 18 years old. Ooh, so we've definitely gotten our money out of this knockoff. It wasn't even a brand name. It was a knockoff AC.
I'd go for the brand name these days. Holy shit.
Well, we'll see what happens. A couple of years ago, we got the opportunity through our insurance company to add all the internal appliances in the house and the AC as a rider on our policy. So supposedly we'll be able to go through the insurance company and file a claim, which we have done, and have them pay for the replacement cost minus our deductible.
Yeah, be careful what piece of shit they try and give you.
Well, they'll have to go through a reputable company. If it's like anything else, like say we've had to have our roof replaced, it's a matter of getting quotes and then going back to them and them saying go with X.
Right. Yeah.
So we'd go to the major reputable companies and find a suitable replacement. And then we'd submit the information to them and they'd say, go with this person.
Okay, so what you're going to do is every day you're going to go down to Sam's ice house. You're going to have him fill up your car with ice. You're going to come back here. You're going to fill it up with the cooler, turn on the box fan. Things will cool down to at least, 93 degrees by afternoon.
Yeah, something like that. I've not had trouble with our insurance company before. I don't anticipate that I'm going to have trouble with them now.
Okay, fair enough. You're old as Methuselah. You've been with them forever.
It's true. I've been with them since we bought our home more than 20 years ago.
Shit. I think we're in the same boat, actually. It's amazing. Fucking amazing.
And it's a major insurance company. It's not some fly-by-night. It's State Farm. So the dealer, the agent we've dealt with has been the same one for 20 years, and we've never had a problem with them.
Well, fair enough.
They didn't give us any grief with our roof. They didn't give us any grief with anything else when the flooding happened. I don't anticipate they're going to give us any grief about this.
I'd give you grief about your room flooding.
Well, it was in the middle of Hurricane Harvey, so
That's
a lot
your
of people
problem.
flooded.
That is your problem. That, you should just not have a house that's sitting in a major target zone.
Apparently not. Apparently we didn't need to have those 50 inches of rain.
Don't question Mother Nature. She's got her own kind of timetable and everything else. And, your needs just do not enter into her mind at all.
I'm not looking forward to, going through the process of having them come in and then have to replace the stuff up in the attic. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, we had, I don't know how old our AC, well, actually, that's not true. I do know how old our AC system was. It was the original that came with the house.
That's the one we replaced, was the original.
Yeah,
Probably.
okay, so we replaced that, I guess, I don't know, 8 years ago, 10 years ago.
I don't know. Maybe the one we replaced wasn't the original. It may have been replaced once already because the house was built in 79, so I can't see going from 79 to the mid 2000s. I don't think it would have lasted that long. So we're probably replacing a middle one.
Yeah, our house was built in 83.
Conceivable.
So, yeah. So it lasted as long as it did, but when they were tearing it apart and bringing it downstairs, the furnace, when they tossed it down, crumbled. It was just made of rust. Everything was so rusted and awful. And the guy looked at me and he goes, by the way, this thing was recalled 20 years ago because it was setting house fires. I was like, oh, whoa, glad somebody told us that shit. The company that makes this went out of business, dude. Why is that? Because they kept setting fire to the house. Oh, good. And I've been operating this thing with no problem for how many years? Well, needless to say, it is all gone now. It has been replaced.
When was yours replaced?
So I'm saying, I think we replaced it, I guess, 8 years ago, maybe.
I was told when they put the first one in that the average down here was about 12 years that one would last.
Depends on what part they're talking about. I know that they have to come out. There's a piece they have to replace because the stuff that really worked for keeping it operational they used to use is incredibly toxic and nasty. So the EPA went, stop using that. It's killing everything that comes in contact with. So now what they have to use to keep the thing turning inside is some other chemical that doesn't last as long. And when it breaks down, it basically takes part of the equipment with it. That's what I was told.
Special.
Yeah.
Another thing is that the R22 refrigerant is no longer really being used. And that's what yours is with mine, same as mine, most likely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so expensive to get at this point. The guy that came out said, yeah, it costs us for a bottle of that stuff. It costs us like $20,000.
Dear God.
And so we don't do that anymore. So if you had a leak, good luck. You're done.
Might as well just buy a new AC system.
Pretty much.
Fuck me. Ugh. Well, anyway, yeah, it's kind of scary when you see them pull out the original equipment.
I know that the part that's upstairs of mine is basically made of rust because they've been complaining about it for about the last 5 years.
Sir, would you come take a look at this? All right. I want you to.
They give me pictures every
right
time
there.
around. They give me pictures and say, "Yeah, this is bad. This is bad. This is really bad. This is getting worse. It's really getting worse." And now this time around, they said, "Yeah, it's gone, buddy.
It's gone, dude. We put it on life support. It's been brain dead for years. We kept telling you this is not a tenable situation. Well, guess what, motherfucker? The patient's dead."
The outside part that does the cooling, it's not the compressor. It's the whatever else. It's another C word. I've forgotten what it is. It's where the coolant exchanges the heat, the part that goes around the AC out there.
Right.
It's made of aluminum, except that he showed me the pictures and he says, you see how it's all bright and shiny? You know, half of it? That's actually aluminum oxide. It's no longer metal.
It's just rust.
It's basically rust. And he showed me where it was breaking off and falling to the bottom. He's like, yeah, it's gone, buddy. It's gone. It's time to replace. You got your time's worth out of this. It's done.
Oh my God. That's too funny. That is too funny. Wow.
He sent lots of pictures along with the report where he said it's time to replace. So I don't anticipate that whoever the insurance company has look at this stuff. They may just look at the report and the pictures and go, yeah, that's gone.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to fight you on that one. They're going to be they're just going to look at how long it's been since the last one was put in and go, yeah, it's time. It's kind of like when you go 20 years with a roof down here. Yeah, it's time.
I swear that we replaced this thing. I'm thinking 2005 is when we put in the last system. So it's been a long haul for this one, and we've gotten our money's worth out of it.
Never a dull moment with you, Terry.
Hopefully it'll only be a single day thing for them to come in and swap it out.
Yeah. Maybe. Depends. Depends if they have to lay new ductwork.
Nope, our ductwork, we paid to have those all replaced about 4 or 5 years ago.
So you're in good shape.
So we should be in good shape. The AC was the only part that has not been replaced.
Well, like you, I've been a slacker.
Not done with what you wanted to get done?
Oh my God. I got all of Station 3 recorded, all of it edited, mixed, produced, although I still have to go back through all the fucking files and take care of one thing now. I have 2 chapters re-record because when I was recording them, my filters did not pick up the sounds of crickets outside. So the crickets show up when I'm talking.
That's rough.
Yeah. So and it oscillates, and then it's gone for a while, and then it shows up back up again. So yeah,
Could be worse. It could be cicadas.
So I got to go back and I got to re-record those. I tried again this morning and got other noise, so I gave up. So I'll try and finish that tonight. If I get those last 2 chapters done, make another sweep through everything, check levels one more time, make sure I get rid of an annoying hum that showed up, which I'm just now able to hear. Then I can finally put the audiobook together.
Audio. Audio.
So fucking sick and tired. It's all hell. I don't like it anymore. I'm tired of it. Sick of it. Fuck it. Fuck it.
Audio.
Yeah. But I've been using this time to think more and more about signal decay. So when I get done with this, I can go to that. That and I haven't roadstered it yet, but I need to roadster the rest of Oceania. Well, I think I know how this is going to play out. I just need another 50,000 words to do what I'm going to try and do.
I tell you, it's going to be at least 200,000 words before you get to the damn island.
Don't fucking say no. It can't. No, there's no way. Now it may end up being 200,000 words in all. I figured out a way to end it. If I just decide that I've had enough of this shit, I'm going to end it.
We're not getting to the ocean. We're stopping here.
No, I've got to get them to the fucking island. They're going to get to the fucking island. Okay. It's got to happen because I got something else I want to have happen there. Because this is the only time I'm going to get the opportunity to do this, Terry. Look, I've got M2 in a multi-biome environment. I have to blow my wad here because this is the only time I'm going to have this creature in jungle and ocean and mountain all at the same fucking time with that diverse of a biosphere. So I have to go ham. So I have got to get to the island. Otherwise, I will not be able to go ham.
All righty, then. We'll see if you can get there.
I'm actually at this point where I have I'm at the climax of the ocean part, and writing the end of this scene is tough because I'm not sure. I've been fighting with how to describe what I see in my mind. And the problem is, if it's shot the way things are with the light and everything else, there's not much you could see anyway, which is annoying as shit. So I've got to kind of figured out a way to describe what I'm trying to describe so the reader understands what happened. But then again, I'm also afraid to write it because you know what this is? This is me blowing this arc. This is the end of the arc. So it's gotta go boom big time.
There's my wife is watching a special on Watergate.
Okay.
And it's interesting because it's, set back in the time. And I haven't watched any of it, so I don't really know what's going on. It's about the wife of I think the Secretary of State, how she was kidnapped and basically held hostage for days, and then her life ruined afterward because they were trying to keep word of Watergate from leaking out. But there's these two FBI agents that are investigating it, and so they're slowly following their way along the chain of what's going on from the break-in and figuring that there's much more to it than that. And they go to the guy that used to work for the CIA, where he's like working at a re-election campaign for Nixon. And he's in the back room busy shredding everything in sight. And he's trying to stuff this big old cardboard paper through the shredder. And it's like binding up and giving all that. And then the door opens and he's like looking at the secretary. I told you never to come in here. He's like, Sir, there's a couple of FBI agents here that want to talk to you. And it's like, I'll be right out. So they show her closing the door and there's cussing in the room and the machine making the noise, but she only goes like 4 steps. The 2 FBI agents are sitting literally right outside the door where he's doing this. And one of them looks over, the other goes, you know how we were guessing that these people were smart as hell and 5 steps ahead of everything we were going to do? Uh-huh. What if we were wrong? And it was all said that that deadpan voice. You know how this? Yeah. What if we were wrong? It was exceptionally funny seeing that kind of acting. It was awesome.
I'll have to keep my eye out for that one then. Okay, so right. No, it's not. Thank you. All right. Sorry, I had to put my phone on D&D. Do not disturb.
Roll for initiative.
Can't do that. We can't do that. Somebody asked me about editing versus expanding.
Okay.
Now, we were talking about scene construction, and person in question was talking about the fact that the events are unfolding too fast in their story. So when they're going back and looking at it, they're like, what do I expand in between these scenes? How do I expand the scenes? What kinds of things make the scenes longer? How do I do this through this editing pass of these pages that I have to figure out where I'm going?
That's a really tough one to give a specific answer to when we don't know the specifics of what needs to be expanded. Because while I don't do much expansion when I'm writing, sometimes there are events that I can put in place in between that will slow the pace without actually making me have to write new things beyond the new filler material. The important part to remember is that whatever you put into the story has to actually have a place there. If you put something that doesn't have a purpose, doesn't have a place, the reader's going to spot that and go, oh, this is boring.
Yeah, everything has to have a purpose, but it just kind of depends on what the character's doing. If the character goes to place A and then suddenly shows up at place Z, and you skipped all the places in between, then I have to wonder why you skipped all those spots. Did nothing important happen between this character doing this one thing and going suddenly over here to this other thing? Is there something that could have happened that's cool in between that would have further cemented one piece of the plot? Was there something else they could have discovered along the way? Was there another a red herring that we could have dealt with? Is there something else from the character's personal life intruding while they're trying to do these kinds of things? Those are all portions of fleshing out the world and fleshing out the character.
And I'm putting my tongue in my cheek as I say this,
Uh-oh.
but sometimes you don't actually need to do it. And the way I'm saying that with my tongue in my cheek is my wife has been watching a series called Rain, which is like raining monarch sort of thing rather than falling from the sky. And I happened to be sitting downstairs while she was watching an episode of this. And this show is flying by at warp 9, hitting major plot points so fast. I'm like, by the end of the episode, I'm like, that's 4 episodes of any story, and that's pushing it.
Yeah.
They're just barely skimming what's going along. And it's like throwing a rock over a pond, and they're just flying. There's no depth to the story whatsoever.
Well, let's say here's another example. My character has to go to this nightclub to get a piece of information. That's potentially a 5,000 word scene, easily, because there's so much shit that could go on. Even if the character is just there to get this one piece of information, there are things the character can see. There are things the character could interact with. There are problems the character could witness, which could give you some ideas to include later on. All this while just accomplishing the task of going up to Bozo and saying, give me the photos.
You know, you can have something that's totally unrelated to the plot there with something like that.
Exactly. You have the opportunity.
You go to the bar and you're looking for something, and one of the drunk bikers mistakes you for an FBI agent that threw him in jail 10 years ago and wants to start a fight. You're like, I don't even have any idea who the hell you are. I tell you, buddy, I'm not that guy.
Those are those great places where you get to say, all right, I need to throw a monkey wrench. The main plot is going far too well. Things are happening too fast. Time to throw a monkey wrench into the works. Time for something just absolutely, completely unexpected to happen. I mean, it could be anything. Just derail it, force the character off the path, and that's where we learn about the character. We don't really learn about the character by the shit that they directly accomplish. We learn about the character from all the stupid shit they do on their way to the goal. That's why we write. Otherwise, all of our stories would be 1 paragraph long, because we would distill a scene into a paragraph. It's all about that journey. It's all about seeing it through the character's eyes. It's all about taking us on this crazy ride with this person that hopefully are people that we find interesting, or that we loathe and we can't wait for them to get cacked.
Or that we like, and Paul's going to cack them anyway.
God damn right I am. So that's why we read the books. That's why we watch the stories, the movies, and everything else. It's not because of the major plot points. It's because all the shit happens in between the plot points. But those are just normal human things. I mean, I go meet Terry for coffee. That means I've got to get out of the house. I got to find all my shit in my house. I got to get out of the house. I got to get into my car. I got to drive.
Go back to the house, put your pants on, then go back out to the car.
Then I got to drive and meet Terry. And on that way, that's like a 40-minute, 50-minute drive. There's all sorts of shit that could happen like that. Just me thinking, for instance. Not too much, we hope, because that leads to car wrecks. And then I got to meet Terry, and then we have lunch. And there's all sorts of shit that can happen that just in that space of an hour and a half, you could have a book. That's the scary part.
Yeah, I forget which one it is. There was a novel that I heard about. They were talking about where it was a mystery, but going along in tandem with that was the detective's ex-wife was blowing into town and causing all kinds of chaos and disruption to his normally orderly life by doing shit.
That sounds like Bosch.
You know, it might be. It might have been.
It's like the 3rd or 4th Bosch book is what that sounds like. But yeah, so the main plot may be very simple, but now you've got all this other mess that's intruding, and it gives you opportunities to muddy up what's going on, or at least put the tar down so the character slows the fuck down and trying to solve the major crisis or plot point they're trying to. There's just all sorts of ways. And as Terry said, it takes practice, and it's not always easy to figure out what it is and where to put it. It just depends on what you're trying to accomplish with those scenes. Do they need to be just A to Z? Do we need to bypass a set of 24 letters? Or is there shit that we need to tap in between? Depends on
If
the
he's
book.
finding that the entire book is going too quickly, he needs a subplot. He's got to have something else that he can weave in that will go from start to finish and expand the things that the character needs to do. If it's just a portion of it, he needs to be diverted. The character does to do something that's off course, like Paul said. It really depends on which parts are going too quickly and what the story is about, because you can't give specific answers to a general question.
When I started Station 3, I did not think it was going to make 80,000 words. Really didn't.
And now you're at like what, 150?
No. I think it weighed in at like 97 or something. I could have added easily another 40,000 words to that book. Easily. I'd have been insane to do it, but I could have done it. The process of going through and writing, I think, is what tells you about the rest of the plots. Is I've started books in the middle before. I've started books at the beginning that ended up not being the beginning, but wasn't the middle either. I found myself in media res about a quarter of the way through the book, and at some point I realized that, and I started writing from both ends. It's just the way I was able to do it for that particular book. That's how Closet Treats went. It is getting to know the characters. It is finding those moments and putting them in situations where we can figure out who they are. We don't know who they are just by them talking to their boss or something else. We know them by what they're thinking when they go out to the car. We know by what they drink, their coffee. What is their, what kind of car are they driving? We know the things by what they wear, all these little personality traits that come through. We have to see them doing things and thinking things to get those pieces. So it's those little bits in between that define life. It's not the major plot points. That's all shit in between. What I told this person was, who cares? If you're moving from scene to scene too fast, who cares? Maybe you need to get all the scenes down. Maybe that's what your brain is trying to tell you, is you need to roadster, maybe with a couple of paragraphs or maybe with just, 800 words a piece, what those scenes are that you want to get down. And then when you look at them, if they present a whole cohesive story, more or less, then you have those pieces where they need to be. And by the time you get to that point, you may actually know exactly how to go back and fill in all those pieces. Or put them together, rather. Again, Terry and I, we don't even have set ways we do things. We're all, this is all theory and no practice. So there's no right way. There's no right way. There's only the wrong way for you. It doesn't make it the right way. It makes it less wrong than every other thing that you've tried. But I always worry about that. Do you ever worry about length, Terry?
Only if I feel like it's getting too short. If I feel like I'm ending something sooner than I should, then I start getting worried about it. If I feel like it's going long, no, that's not a problem at all. I don't want to shortchange the story.
What would be shortchanging the story? Can you give an example?
Wrapping it up too quickly to where the reader feels like it's been cut off.
Does that mean you're making things too easy for the characters?
Maybe, or maybe the story isn't complex enough.
Okay. So here we go again into this mess. What if the climactic battle is not really the climactic battle?
All right. That sounds complicated.
Reason I say this is, what if the tertiary goals are the ones that are really hard? I mean, think about it. I'm going through this story or this quest or whatever else to make this badass weapon. Well, I don't have the badass weapon. In fact, my weapons suck. I have to go get pieces of the badass weapon from all the badasses that are lying around me so I can go then kill the massive badass. Well, when I meet the massive badass, by the time I get there, I'm armored to the freaking teeth with the super weapon. How hard can a massive monster be at the end? Unless we throw in the author fuckery and make the weapon not work. Which is not something Terry or I would ever do to a character. We would never do that kind of thing.
There's something to keep in mind is there's a difference between plot and story. If you're just looking at the events that are happening inside your story, that's the plot. Story refers to what's going on inside the character and how they view and interpret those things based on who they are. Don't get bogged down in the whole events happening in sequence deal. Focus more on how the character changes by what's occurring. I think that's more important. If you're worried about, oh, I've got to hit check marks A, B, and C, then you're not focusing on the right thing.
If you have A, B, and C in mind, however, that these are the parts I need to flow through, then you have a guideline for 10,000 words very easily.
And when you get through there, if you look at the character and go, I haven't changed this character enough, and it's not changed the way that I want them to change, then you can add more plot points to it to try to shepherd the character to where you want the end to be.
That's another thing the complications are there for. Your characters are basically, you're throwing them down in a world that has very little to no constraints, unique constraints. Complications are there to bounce the character in the direction you need them to go. It's to give them a logical reason to go where you need them to go, whether they understand it or not. And you're also bouncing the reader, and you're saying, hey, reader, this is why we're going this way. Even if the character doesn't quite understand it, you understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just basically they're bouncing that slinky, and you keep changing the steps. So the slinky keeps following the path that you want it to go down. And whenever it gets off path, you bump it and put it on the correct path back. And it's those bumps that are the little mountains and molehills on a plot diagram that will show you, everything leading up to the peaky climax.
And while it's completely unrelated to the subject we're talking about,
oh God,
I saw a quote by Stephen Hawking where he said that even the people that believe utterly that our lives are predestined and that we can change nothing about to occur, they still look both ways when they cross the street.
Goes back to the old saying, there are no atheists in foxholes. Yeah, exactly. There is that logical piece, and there is the superstition that comes into it, and they vie. And depending on which character depending on which side of that line the character embraces, can really tell you a lot about that character. Does the character cross themselves when they leave a church or see something bad happen? Do they say a silent prayer? Do they just kind of shake their heads and walk on? Those kinds of reactions all tell us more about the character without having to say anything about it. They're just little details that give us more insight into who that character is, and those are really useful if you're writing short fiction. Longer fiction, you get to tell us about or show us their relationship with God or spirituality or whatever, or the reasons why they aren't that way. Short stories, for instance, you usually don't have a whole lot of time to tell us that. You need to try and drop that as quickly as possible. Novels,
you got to get to a point.
Novels, take your time. Find the opportunities to use those spaces.
Sometimes there's a decent amount of room to meander in a novel, and it's not bad to do that as long as you're being true to the events that are happening in the story and the characters and how they're interpreting them. It doesn't have to be a race to the end, but it also doesn't need to be, a saunter through the park.
It doesn't need to be cruise.
There needs to be something to speed things along.
I'm not reading 108 fucking pages about a goddamn bush. Okay. It's just not happening. I don't fucking care. Just
You know,
like
I
I'm
was
not.
thinking of that. I was thinking of that very thing when I was mentioning it. So that's kind of was on my mind.
I've imprinted that in your brain permanently.
You have.
Or the 20 or 30 pages that GRMM spends on Bannerman. Just don't give a shit. It just give me the story. What the fuck? Weave this shit in here. I don't need a 20-page Tolkien-esque essay on flags. I just don't need it. Doesn't matter. Tell me about it when it matters. I'm talking about a way to expand a book, and it doesn't really need any expansion. That was one way to do it. The wrong way, in my humble opinion. But,
And of course, you could just throw in something completely bizarre at some point, like going to a wedding and seeing the dignified priest about to perform the ceremony and having him go, marriage.
little stupid moments. I think the problem with younger writers, or I shouldn't say younger, with newer writers is
Inexperienced writers.
inexperienced.
Those are less
Thank you.
experienced.
Let's go with inexperienced writers or less experienced. Let's go with that. Is you think that there's not much to say about a scene, and there is that urge to get to the end. And that urge to get to the end of the story is so intense that it drives you to stop thinking about stuff that can happen in between, or not allowing yourself to focus on stuff in between.
And one of the other things that a newer writer doesn't think about is that the scene you're writing isn't the important part. It's how it's interpreted by the reader. So what you're putting on the paper, you've got to look at how it's going to be consumed. There is a difference between you feeling that the scene serves no purpose and the reader feeling that way. And you've got to be aware that while most times you're right, if you think that something's not serving a purpose, it doesn't. Maybe sometimes you need to have that meandering to allow the reader time to cool down from whatever they've just went through.
That was one of the most difficult parts of writing Station 3, was forcing those moments of pausing. And the only way I found that worked with it was to give these is for the situation to trigger a memory from Zilf. Will you stop that? One of Zilf's memory about his growing up with his father, because his father was just this pretended at least to be wise kind of guy. And so there's all these phrases bouncing around Zilf's brain. And so when he comes to a situation, a memory sparks. Well, I could spend 800 words on a simple memory and then basically talking about how it defined the situation to slow things down. But it also gives you insight into the character. And I try to do my best to make those little anecdotes fun, interesting, because it gives me a chance to world build. It gives me a chance to explain how this character exists in their home, where they came from, and the way they revere it. And all those little details, I think, make the characters stand out. But they're also tools for me to slow shit down, because I can't have the character running from fight to fight to fight to fight and have it be interesting. You have to have the shit in between. You have to give the character, both the character and the reader a moment to catch their breath. And those are those times where you have those opportunities to talk about things like past. And I love the stories.
Something comes with time.
Yeah. You just want to give them time. I mean, shit.
As a writer, it comes with more experience.
Yeah, I think when you're starting out, at least I was anyway, I think I was afraid to really dig into giving the characters a lot of screen time. And now I want to follow them everywhere. I want to chase them down.
As the character turns around and stares and at this, I'm going into the bathroom. You stay out.
You can stay out of here, Bubba. Because sometimes I want to follow.
It's like watching a Deadpool movie. He turns around. You're not going to follow me in here, are you?
In the game, they do. There's actually a series of buttons you can hit, and he drops a dookie.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. The game is absolutely ridiculous. I highly recommend it. It's brainless, but it's kind of fun. Anyway, I want to see what makes the character tick, and I want to know about those moments. And I want to dig into who they are, what they're thinking about, what they dream about, what their, future desires are. I'm interested in that, even if the reader's not. And guess what? I can always cut that shit. And quite often it does end up going in the bin. But I want to write that stuff just to get out of my system. And if nothing else, even if the reader never sees it, those things are for me.
There are moments where you say, I foresee a potential for something happening with this character in the future. And they'll insert something in a book.
I don't ever have that problem.
And then 4 or 5 books later, you go, it's time to troll that out. And poop, you can bring it right out and you can proceed along.
Yep. That's another wonderful thing about writing a series. You have a chance to put that in. I did it with Derelict twice, maybe 3 times. I've done it with the Black a whole bunch. Oh, I remember this detail we never kind of closed the loop on. Here it is. And guess what? It's going to screw over everybody. Those things make the series fun. And then you have to spend some time planning those.
I considered having 2 characters have at least a mild or perhaps stronger emotional, romantic interest in one another early in a series. And I go, not the time for it. But I had the character change. I had a secondary character that would not have been normally included in a mission included, so that I could go ahead and make sure that I had them handy when I feel the time is appropriate to roll them out.
Matchmaker, make me a match. Oh God, we're gonna get sued. I can't even believe I remember those lines. If I were a rich man, dabba 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 dabba. All the youngins are going, what the fuck is he talking about?
Is that from Fiddler on Hot Tin Roof?
No. Now you've got Tennessee Williams directing a Jewish Tennessee Williams play in my head. That is not working, by the way, at all.
I was hoping that it would be really dissonant when I threw that out.
Broke my brain with that shit. The musical is called Fiddler on the Roof. And then there's Cat on a Hot Tin Roof by Tennessee Williams.
Okay.
The two have
I'll admit that I got the
common.
two. I got the two confused. So yeah, there is that.
Oh my God, my head.
So we should, we should bring them together.
My brain. Awesome. When do those come out of copyright? Oh, holy shit, that would be so fucked up. My brain just oh my God, Big Daddy as a rabbi. Oh my God.
This sounds like something that oh God, what is the Jewish comedian's name?
Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks. This sounds like a Mel Brooks movie.
It does. It sounds like a Mel Brooks gig. I'll send him the idea. I'm sure he'll be like, done it. Wrote the script, decided it was shit, never made it. Anyway, you bastard, you completely broke everything. I don't even know what the hell we were talking about before you threw that bomb in my way.
It's a great way to just, move on to a new subject.
Completely derail the whole goddamn show, you jerk. Total jerk. Expansion, editing, 2 different things, but if you feel like you don't know where you're going and can't get to the next piece, maybe go back and look at the beginning. I reread a lot of chapters. Do you reread a lot of chapters, Terry?
I reread the entire book twice. I write it, I correct. Well, hang on. Let me go back to the process. I write it and I correct the dragon issues as I'm writing the chapters. And then I read the story and decide if something is appropriate or not, going through it twice and tweaking things. That's really the only times I reread the stuff.
Okay. I usually have to go back, well, especially the way I'm writing now, since I'm writing Oceania as a serial. I have to go back like a couple chapters, make sure I got, address continuity, which I normally wouldn't have to do at this point in the process. But since I've changed it to this direction, I have to do that a little more religiously, so I don't, shortchange the patrons and make them angry at me because you take a shortcut or you forgot about this. Yeah, that's kind of a shitty thing to do. I don't want to do it because it's stupid. It makes me feel stupid. So I got to keep the continuity in mind to go forward. So I have to go back and reread those chapters. And plus, since I'm not sending it to an editing house, I have to do pre-edits before I actually start talking and then edit it again while I'm recording it. So they're going to be pretty damn clean by the time we get done. I have no idea how much of this prose will actually survive a real editing process. We'll see. I know I repeated myself 2 or 3 times in certain places. It's like, yeah, I think I said this shit last episode. Why did I say it again? So things like that have to be cleaned up and everything else. But as far as the process goes, I have to go back and reread those. And I really don't have a problem doing that because every time I go back, I think I make them better. So, but I'm not going back to the beginning of the damn book. I'm just scanning the last couple of chapters and making sure I remember what the hell happened. Different writing process. I actually like the serial writing process though, because it forces me to keep going and to get ahead. Station 3 recording and etc. and getting the black ready, that has all thrown everything into chaos. But I'm looking forward to getting back to the serial process with Oceania and Signal Decay. I don't know. Terry's just looking blankly at his screen, nodding his head.
I'm listening to you. I don't disagree with the thing that you're saying.
How can you? I haven't said anything you could possibly disagree with.
You're you. Give you time.
Oh, for crying out loud. Crying out loud. How do you decide what environment to start in? Your characters.
I usually either, if I'm starting a new story, then I will pick what I think is a good setup, because I read early on that you should start your story with showing the character's life before something goes horribly wrong, and then having something go horribly wrong to go ahead and get the story kicked off. And if I'm doing a series, then I look at where the last book ended and say, where's a good story point to pick it up after that? To try to pick up the pieces from the last book.
Because you've either destroyed their home base or you've changed things in such a way, or last story, they ended up somewhere and they have to get back or whatever.
Exactly. So with a series, it's pretty easy to pick a spot. And I don't think about it overly much. I go, that would be a good place to start. And then I just go with it. I don't triple think what I'm doing. I just do it.
With Station 3, I started with them at the beginning. Literally.
In the beginning.
Literally popping out of a wormhole and approaching the station, or the orbital. That's how that book started. That's how it started in my head. That's how it ended. I knew what's. Now keep in mind, I rewrote this book 3 times, or started 3 different times. So it's probably about 60 to 70,000 words of material that have been dumped at this point.
Gosh,
for this shitty little book.
That is tough.
That's fine. I'm glad I didn't write those other books because they were terrible. They were fucking awful. They wouldn't hold together and they were bad shit. So I'm pretty happy with Station 3. There's more I could have done with it and lots I wish I had done with it, but it's done. So what, Signal Decay, I'm on like my 3rd or 4th attempt with it. And I have an option to either start the story really in the mine, or I start it on the station, the facility that's attached to the mine.
Sounds like either one could work.
Exactly. So the best way I figured out to do this is to either have a prologue. Can't believe I'm saying this in front of Terry. With a character we're never really going to see again. Who's going, and it might not even be a human character. It may be a robot that does something that kicks off everything. And then we see our protagonist maybe days, weeks later, starting to deal with the fallout of whatever that was. Strange things starting to happen in the mine, that some of that stuff following into the station, equipment malfunctions, things like that, people saying strange shit, whatever it is.
Well, here's what you need to do. You need to go ahead and do something that's so totally unexpected that none of your readers will see it coming. You need to go ahead and start the prologue with your character Thomas Reed doing whatever he's going to do. And by the end of it, he's dead and only his toe remains.
Toe Tag doesn't get any lines. Toe Tag doesn't get any screen time. Except in Derelict. He gets screen time. And, well, I shouldn't say that. He got some sort of screen time in Derelict. I think an audio log. I think that was it. So we have actually heard of the man. If I write the Mira prequel, he will have to be in there. So I'm saving that. I'm saving that. I was glad I was able to fit him into Station 3. So I'm looking forward to putting him into Signal Decay. I just have to do something really fucking nasty. I mean, unbelievably ugly nasty. Because, you know,
it's just the kind of guy you are.
That's right. It's my thing. It's what I do. So starting with her in the mine would be interesting because it gives us a chance to see that entire world. And then when she heads back from her shift, we now have to describe and follow her as she goes back to her bunk. So now
I'll be in my bunk if you need me.
So we get a chance to see the mine, everything that goes on in the mine, introduce characters that she knows or they're going to be important that stand out from the crowd. When we get back to the station, same thing. We see how her day ends, the kinds of things she does on her day. And then we see what happens at night. Next morning or next shift, things start to go wrong. But we spend a day with her. We spend a day with her getting to know what she does, how she does it, and why she does it. And who she is to a certain extent, who are the important people in her life. And the next day, we start introducing chaos.
Sounds right.
Because we know how I work. I like to start with small entropy, and this entropy just becomes more and more entropy until it finds true levels of chaos, which aren't. But that's where I would start. That's where I want to start that story. That's the first 15,000 words. Easy. Bang. Look at all the things I have to cover. It gives me plenty of chance to know the character. It gives me plenty of chance to set up things that may be important that I may need in other scenes later. It gives me a chance to figure out what those are. Just a quick example. One that's currently in process. But I like roadstering. I had never heard that before.
I'll have to find the link to that particular ordering, but I've never heard that description that before. But I kind of like it.
It's just like I was watching a conversation in Discord and they were talking about something and somebody was like, well, I don't want to fridge the wife. And I went, oh my God, I forgot that was a thing. The first time I'd heard that referenced was by you when you said somebody fridged the wife. And I went, what? Immediately when I understood the context, it was fine. But it kind of shook me again because I hadn't seen it in so long. I'm guessing that's such a common trope for mystery readers and writers. It doesn't cause any kind of dissonance at all. I just
probably not, but the first time we were talking about it, I remember it was the reason we were talking about it because it would be the second book in a row where the girlfriend had been fridged.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. The interesting type of Bluebeard. All his wives ended up fridged, for various reasons. Either evil or not. Evil, accidental, suicide, whatever.
Has anybody seen my wife? I haven't seen her for 3 chapters.
Oh, fuck. Check the walk-in freezer. God damn it. That's an interesting gag, a fridging in every story. How does somebody get fridged this time? I guess it'd have to take place in a meat plant or a kitchen or something, though.
I think you're taking the whole fridged a little too literally.
Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? It's just such an interesting term that brings to mind. I was just watching the Gentleman recently where they open up the fridge. There's a dead Russian in there. It's all frozen up.
I think an interesting story would be something like a police procedural where the homicide detective, sometime during the show, somebody else in the department dies in some bizarre way. And it's different every book. Somebody dies in a bizarre way.
It's kind of
it's not somebody off thing. It's like an accidental death in the department, something bizarre.
That's what I try to do with Thomas Reed every single time. I think, honestly, Terry, that I wrote Outbreak the way I did just so I could get that scene of Scott Roche doing the autopsy on Thomas Reed. I think that is the whole reason I wrote that book. It's just for that one fucking scene.
Scratch that itch, man.
That's one of my favorite scenes of all time that I've written. That whole little like 2,000 word stretch just absolutely, it just makes me crack up every single time.
What makes me crack up is remembering when we bought the big chest freezer, and I had my wife take the video of opening it up and going straight to the toe tag.
Cooley needs one of these. Yeah, I need one buried in the lawn. Oh,
with possums.
You don't need to know why. Where do you think I keep the possums? How do you think I feed the little bastards? Anyway, speaking of feeding the little bastards, Shadow is showing me his fierce face while he's sleeping, because he's got these fangs that just completely stick out.
Fangs. Here you go, Dad.
Oh yeah, he knows I'm going to be recording later, so he's basically gearing up to cause chaos. That's what he's doing. He's recharging right now. Fucking hopeless. So what else do you know, Bubba?
That's all I know.
You're just not a lot of help.
It's been a long month.
It has, actually. It has.
I did go and watch Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
And?
It was a lot of fun. It had some bizarre moments, as one might imagine, by something directed by Sam Raimi.
Did you spot his car?
I wasn't looking for his car, and I wouldn't know it if I did see it, but I did see Bruce Campbell.
And then his car was in there somewhere. His car was in there somewhere. It's the same car that was in the original Evil Dead. It's been in every Sam Raimi movie. There it is. Period. It always shows up.
It's probably in there. I just have no idea what it looks like and wouldn't have known it if I had seen it.
Oh God, it's this horrible 70s thing. Oh my God.
And besides, it's always fun when you get to see horror elements in stories like that. There's nothing quite like seeing zombie Doctor Strange.
Oh God. Oh. Ah, that's frightening. That's what happens when the necromancer gets necromanced, right?
I'm not going to spill any beans by saying exactly how it happened, but it did. It's a minor spoiler without mentioning how it happened. If I start getting into details, that's pretty serious.
A friend of mine got me into a show on Shudder called Dragula, which is like a RuPaul drag show, I guess, if it had horror elements to it. So these people are competing, like, make your best Cenobite costume. We're going to be a death metal band. Bring it, get your best gore kind of costume together, that kind of shit. It's really kind of interesting what people can come up with in a few hours. I skip through all the bullshit where they're, chattering at one another. I just go to the pieces where they show off the costumes and everything else. There's some fun creature ideas in there. Just looking at them to see the kind of things that they do and whatnot. There's some interesting ideas for humanoid creatures. And some of the makeup is fantastic. It's just amazing. It's just utterly crazy to see that kind of stuff happen.
Oh,
it's bizarre.
I am so sad. The Marvel movies always have these end credit scenes that are usually pretty interesting. And I'm not going to get into what was in there, but they had an opportunity to have something that I thought would have been hysterically funny. Did you see the original Doctor Strange?
Yes.
So you know who Wong is?
Yes.
In the course of this movie, they're talking about how sometimes dreams or nightmares are actually things that are happening to other versions of yourself in another universe as a hypothesis. God. And so Wong then goes, so me running down the street naked while being chased by clowns could be real. And I was like, oh my God, that would be like the perfect end scene. It didn't happen, but it would have been amazing.
This is like something I would write. Oh my God. I
said
like
that.
that.
He said that in Strange, and the other person like just giving him the look.
What kind of dreams are you having?
Exactly.
My dad still claims that there's a class he never passed. He never went to the final. They fucked up and they gave him a degree, and he never took the course. He had nightmares for years after that he didn't actually graduate, and at some point someone was going to figure it out, and there was going to be this whole thing, and his career would be destroyed. It's like, holy shit, man, that's some serious neuroses and anxiety over your college experience. Holy crap. Yeah,
We are repossessing your career.
We are repossessing your career. You know, that might have that kind of shit could actually happen pretty soon. The way they've clustered some of this educational crap. There's an interesting idea for a story: having your career being repossessed. How would that happen? How does that happen?
That could be an interesting story.
And what are the details? How does that work? How is it enforced? These are all very interesting questions I have. This sounds like a pretty good short story idea. We have to write that down when we finish.
We're going to have to take back your education. Please sit in this chair. Gonna put this helmet on you.
We're going to set your quotient back to when you were 18. Oh, good. I didn't know shit and I was happy.
Yes, but unfortunately, you're going to be like 50.
I know, you're buddy with a 50-year-old with a brain of an 18-year-old. Yeah, that's going to work out well.
I swear to God, I was just sitting there and my back went out all by itself. I didn't do anything.
I just moved.
I put my pillow wrong. Now I can't do anything.
What is this bullshit? Why are my balls dragging the ground? That's not supposed to happen.
Oh my God, look at those things. Holy shit. That's not natural. That's got to be a tumor or something. What the hell is going on down there?
Oh, yeah. If only it was reparable. I'm sure it exists, but I just, the idea of a ball tuck, if that's not a thing, I'm sure it is. It's got to be a thing, a ball tuck.
I have no idea.
I don't know why I think that exists, but I'm sure it does. I don't want anybody to
Why not?
confirm it.
Everything else exists. Why not that too?
So I jogged home from my scrotal tuck. There's a definition of machos: jogging home from your scrotal tuck.
I can assure you that if you have a scrotal tuck, you're not going to be jogging anywhere for a while.
Oh my God, how did I get on this topic? You know what that means, Terry?
It's time to leave.
It's time to shut the shit down. Paul has lost his mind. Therefore, it's time to bring this train wreck to a close. Well, if you have a comment about this show or a question about the bullshit that we dribbled, you can send us an email at show@deadrobotsociety.com. You could tweet me for now at Paul_E_Cooley. You can find me at Mastodon at Paul E. Cooley at mastodon.social. You can find us on Facebook at the Listeners of the Dead Robot Society Facebook group, where Terry wrangles things. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/DRS podcast, where you can see all of our crazy mugs. We did not have a single cat today.
I know. That's because I've got the one upstairs outside the room. Screamer must be asleep.
How did we get through an entire episode without a cat?
I know. This is really weird.
You're going to fuck up everybody's drinking game. I'm just telling you that right now.
They're sitting there right now with their booze open going, the hell?
And we have to thank our wonderful host, Pod Hoster, who makes all 14 bazillion episodes of DRS available for you. If you want to support the show, you can find us at DRS. No, you can't. You can find us at patreon.com/DRS podcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you get access to live shows and other exclusive content. And the $10 levy, getting her name read. And our $10 patrons are Summer Wilson, Tony L. Joy, Andrew Smallwood, Veronica Jagger, Rick Shaw, Lisa Slack, and Isabel Cushy. Thank you to all of our patrons for the support. The show wouldn't be possible without you.
Indeed.
Now we got one more thing we got to do.
I wonder what that could be.
It's time to talk about, this is our support group for our caffeine addiction. Unfortunately,
I don't have an addiction. I can stop anytime I want.
No, you cannot. Unfortunately, we are very bad at following any kind of step program that includes caffeine. So we went ahead and made a deal with the devil and became purveyors of Corpse Coffee. Visit corpsecoffee.com. Check out their line of coffees. Terry, what's your favorite one?
It's Abracadabra.
Abracadabra. Now, I drink the Bone Rattler. You can check out their line of boutique teas and their webcomic. Go to corpsecoffee.com. Check it all out. Tell them we sent you. And go to corpsecoffee.com and get the dead in your cup. Now, with that, I think it's time for Terry and I to get out of here, go into isolation.
It
and never
is
speak again.
Time to go back into our bunkers and not come out for a week.
If only. I have so much shit to do. Oh my God. I'm so tired of audio production. I don't want to do it ever again. Okay. So with that said, we are out of here. Have a great week and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.